Hi guys. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Kayla, and I'm starting this YouTube channel because I don't know. I guess I feel like I have a lot of experiences and like stories and things that maybe other people can learn from as far as kind of I guess growing up and probably more specifically addiction and red flags or warnings or all of that. So I was trying to figure out what I wanted to talk about, and a story that kept popping up in my head was when it's from a while ago. It's from, I think it was like 2009, and I live in Washington State, which is on the West Coast, above Oregon and California, and I was like right in the beginning of, well, not in the beginning, but it was right when my addiction really got low. And I was dating a guy at the time who was trash. And he had, we were up one night and we kind of, I think, blacked out. And when I woke up in the morning, he was gone. And I was at his parents' house. And I remember going and asking his mom, where did he go? And she told me that she bought him a plane ticket in the middle of the night to go to Florida. And he was going to go get clean and change his life and, left. So I called him and was like, why did you leave? Because at that point in time, he was my partner in addiction. He was like, we were riding together, and I felt like, I don't know, I guess I felt like left behind. Like, how are you going to just leave and go to Florida and get sober and not even see if I wanted to go? But he ended up telling me that we had fought the night before or something, and, he was tired of it and tired of getting high and wanted to change his life. And so I was mad at first, and then we kept talking, and I was like, eventually I came up with a plan to go to Florida with him. But he was already in Florida at this time. I think, if my memory is correct, that I'm pretty sure I was back at my parents' house, like temporarily. And so I remember keeping this like secret. Like, I hadn't told them what my plan was, but my overall plan was that I was going to go to Florida too. So anyways, it was like middle of the month at that time, and at that point in time I was on like, TANF, where I would get like a check on the first of the month. And I had a car. It was a little Chevy Malibu back in like 2010, 2009 or 2010. But I decided, okay, when I get my money on the first, which was, mind you, $400, I decided I was going to use that and drive across the country. Drive to Miami, Florida. So, and I don't know, I guess in my I think I was like 18 or 19. In my mind at that time, I thought $400 was going to make it across the country, right? And so the plan was, sorry.
You live a lighter, do you?
I don't, sorry. So the plan was, at that time, that I was going to, now I feel the pain when people talk about like vlogging in public, just staring at you. But anyways, I thought $400 was gonna make it across the country. Oh yeah, that's where I was at. And in my mind, I was thinking, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna try and get sober, because I couldn't get sober where I was at and the people that I was around. And so I was like, you know what? I think I just need to pick up and move and go there, and then I'll be successful. But I didn't obviously think this plan through, because like, who goes to Miami, Florida to get sober? Me. So you know, eventually the first came around, I got the money, and I was still full blown in my use at that time. So, you know, I got the money and was like, okay, let me pack up all my stuff and go to Florida now, and I'm gonna go get sober. So I ended up, instead of taking that $400 for gas, I think I spent like 180 of it on drugs because I needed drugs to get there. And then I figured from there, I'll get sober when I get there. It's like that whole, like, that thought process, like, I'm gonna get sober tomorrow, you know? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get sober when I get there, you know? And so yeah, I pulled the money out, I went and bought some drugs. I thought those drugs were, mind you, I thought those drugs were gonna make it to Miami, Florida, just like I thought that $380, or no, $280 that I had was gonna make it all the way to Florida. So I pack up all my stuff. I don't say anything to my family, which, you know, looking back, this was like a horrible time for my family. You know, that it's just, you know, addiction's not a joke. It's all funny and stuff when you tell stories, but there's a lot of people suffering in the meantime while this story is going on. There's a lot of people suffering that, you know. So yeah, anyways, I take the money, I take the drugs, and I get in my car, and oh wait, mind you, by the way, back in the day, we didn't have, I didn't have like GPS or like, you know, Google Maps or nothing like that. I went on my parents' computer on MapQuest, typed in the address, and printed out the directions, right? So I have like my directions in hand, and I have everything I own in this car, and I start driving. And anybody who knows Washington or like, you know, Pierce County, like I got on the freeway and I'm thinking that the amount of drugs I have is going to make it to Florida. So I get on, I get on I-5, and then I get on, I think it was I-90. And basically, by the time I got to Idaho, which is the next state over, I was almost out of drugs. So I was like, oh my God, now what am I gonna do? How am I gonna drive? You know, I'm gonna be sick. How am I gonna get there? So I keep driving. And, you know, the gas wasn't like super expensive at that time, but it was expensive enough. And so I'm driving. I still to this day can like tell you how, well, like I can't tell you like the freeway names, but like on a map I can show you the way I went. Like I went across Washington, Idaho, Montana, mind you, and I always say mind you. Is that a normal thing? Mind you. Anyways, mind you, Montana is the freaking loneliest deserted state there is. It was like there is just nothing. I remember in Montana, actually, when I was driving, it was nighttime at that time. It was like dark out, right? And I saw something in the road, and it was like a pack of wolves that was like in the road I had to stop for. And I remember stopping and then realizing and being like, oh my God, I need to like lock my doors, which, I mean, you know, but it was scary. So anyways, I like drive across Montana, and then I go down like North and South Dakota, and what was the state? The first state I stopped in to get drugs was Omaha, Nebraska, right? And so I'm using my gas money at this point to get drugs because, you know, when you're full blown in your addiction, it's like you think you can ration some things out, but like, no. At least for me, I don't know. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so I get to Omaha, Nebraska. I'm trying to like buy like the littlest amount I can because I don't know if this person's gonna rip me off or what, but I was blessed for majority of the time. Anyways, I'll get to that. So anyways, Omaha, I find something, and you know that makes it until I get to, I went down across like the southern tip of Illinois and across, maybe it was Tennessee. So by the time I get to Tennessee, I think I have like $20 left, and I kept debating, like, should I put it in my gas or should I try and get drugs? But I ended up stopping at a gas station and just asking people. I'm telling them, you know, I have my Washington license plate and telling them, like, hey, I'm almost out of gas. And I made up a story. I can't remember what my story was. Probably something about I lost my wallet or something like that. But I do remember that the guy I had asked, the first guy I asked, ended up giving me $100 bill and filling up my tank. So I felt like, in my addict mind, I'm thinking, like, oh my gosh, this is God telling me that I'm doing the right thing, you know, like, this is God saying, you know, like, what you're doing is righteous. Yeah, definitely drive to Miami and go get sober. That's gonna work. And so yeah, I had the $100, I had the full tank of gas, and I start driving again. So then I keep driving, and oh wait, I didn't even mention this. From Washington to Miami is like 3,800 miles, if I'm correct. 3,800 miles. And I was like, this is another crazy part. The first night I drove for 20 hours and then slept for 4. And then woke up. I think that's when I was in Omaha. Woke up and then found drugs, obviously. And then started driving again. Drove another 20 hours. Slept for 4. And then by that time I was in, I think, Memphis or Atlanta. I think I was in Atlanta at that time. So basically I made it in 2 days already to the other side of the country. It was like the craziest drive ever. But the furthest, I thought Montana was bad, but once you get to Florida's long. Driving from the top to the bottom is long. So when I got to Atlanta, I got drugs again, and the same thing happened. Actually, I wasn't in Atlanta. I was in Macon, Georgia, which is it's like Atlanta, and then Atlanta, if I'm correct, Atlanta is at the north, the top of Georgia, and then Macon is at the bottom. So when I got down to Macon, it was like the scariest, like, small little town. I remember right when I got off the freeway, it's like I had to go, like, down a dark road, and there was, like, nobody around, and I feel like I kept seeing, like, Confederate flags, which were scaring me. And so I stopped at this gas station, and the same type of thing happened. This, like, nice guy gave me $50 and then filled up my tank. So basically I, you know, half-assed hitchhiked in my own car, like, you know, didn't have any gas, but was driving across the country. So anyways, when I got to Macon and got that $50 and got my tank full, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make it, this is gonna work. So then I start driving, and I remember I got to Florida, and when I saw, like, entering Florida, I was like, oh my God, I made it, I'm here. And I thought I was in, you know, I thought Miami's gonna be like an hour away or something. No, Miami is way at the bottom. And so I thought I was on my home stretch, like, there, and okay, here I am. I remember calling him and being like, I'm almost there. And I remember I got to, like, Orlando, and I was so exhausted that I had to pull over. And it was so hard for me to pull over because I felt like I was right around the corner, but I wasn't. So anyways, I fell asleep there, woke up, and drove and made it all the way down to Miami. Florida was the longest drive, though, from the top to the bottom. That was the longest drive. But anyway, so then I make it to Florida, and I'm like, hey, I'm here. And you know, the guy I was dating at that time, he was staying in, like, a clean and sober house that was just for men, right? So he snuck me in, I think the first night, snuck me in. And then the second night we were caught, so then we had to go get a hotel. And, you know, if you know, you know, when, you know, hotels give you, like, some weird ability, like, or it makes you feel like you have to party or something, like you're in a hotel. And even though I was trying, and my intention in my mind was to stay sober, or get sober when I got to Miami, it's easier said than done, to, you know, because what I've learned in recovery is, like, everywhere you go, there you are. So it's not like I can just pick up and leave and go across the country and I'll be able to get sober, because I'm bringing myself with me, and I'm the problem. It's not where I'm at, it's me. So yeah, so long story short is that when I ended up going down there to get sober, on the third day we went to South Beach, and decided, you know, we were gonna drink, and I ended up on South Beach drunk, and started getting into it with this guy about something, and I grabbed a street cone and started swinging. We were on South Beach, mind you. There I go with that, mind you. Anyways, I started swinging this, those cones, those orange cones. I started swinging it at this guy, and people called the police because we're fighting on South Beach. And we tried to run, me and the guy I was with at that time, we tried to run on foot, and they caught us and took us to jail. And I was in Miami-Dade County Jail for another couple days. And yeah, went to court. They released me. It was a disorderly conduct they charged me with. But yeah, in Dade County Jail, that was a whole nother shit show. I mean, they have you like squished in there like sardines. It's like I was in there with like a whole bunch of women in one toilet, and we all had to stand up. None of us could lay down. It was just a nightmare. So anyways, that's gonna be my first little story time. I think I probably have 1,000 more of these before I ended up actually getting sober. So anyways, if you watched my video and you liked it, like it. Hit the like button. That would be cool. This is just like me trying something new. See how it goes. But yeah, thanks for watching.